Hi everybody, Sean here for Sean Talks Movies, and I am here with a brand new instant reaction for a new movie that's come out today. It is probably, arguably, the most anticipated movie this summer, if not one of them, and definitely one of the most anticipated of August. It's a little movie from DC called Suicide Squad.
I want to build a team of some very bad people who I think can do some good.
Y'all jokers must be crazy.
I'm not just one of y'all many toys.
What?
Now, a little bit of backstory in this particular movie. This was kind of, I think, supposed to be the fun alternative, the first kind of step into the fun atmosphere for the DC universe. As we probably saw, we had the ultimately dreary Batman v Superman and Man of Steel in the past couple years that came out for DC and went with a dark tone. Basically played opposite the Marvel films that have been coming out over the past decade or so. This was the one, this was supposed to be the movie, Suicide Squad, that changed that a little bit, brought a little bit of fun and flavor by bringing in some seedy characters, I guess. The movie revolves around a group of, I think it's supposed to be 6. So many people show up in this movie, it's ridiculous. But a group of quote-unquote bad guys who are thrust into being a super team in the hopes of helping the world should a bad Superman ever come down and want to be a terrorist. That's what you're getting from this movie. And just a quick run of the cast. This movie was directed by David Ayer, who you might know of having directed Fury from a couple years ago. And it's starring Will Smith, Margot Robbie, Jared Leto, Jag Courtney, a few other people. I'm not going to really run down the names because it doesn't really matter, because this movie might be one of the worst movies I have ever seen. Now, I had reservations going into the film. It opened to very, very negative reviews. I think the last I saw was at like 27% in Rotten Tomatoes. Not that you need to give a lot of credence to that, but it says something about the film when critics aren't necessarily liking it. The director is coming out and saying, hey, we made this for the fans, not for the critics, because they're the only ones that matter. But 27% is pretty bad. I think that's worse than what Batman v Superman had earlier this year. And I think that says a lot about this particular movie, you know, going in. But my other grief, I guess, is that it's rated PG-13, because if we saw earlier this year, Deadpool came out, R-rated comedy, superhero film, and it worked really well. And I felt like with characters like this, you very well could have done an R-rated movie and maybe had a good, fun, festive atmosphere in a sense. But the PG-13 rating essentially makes it feel like a cash grab, throw a bunch of people together and do something a little bit different for the DC universe, and it does not work out. From the get-go, the reason this movie doesn't work is the writing. The actors, the characters, they do their best with what they're given, but the story and the characters and the dialogue in this movie it's all so poorly written that I feel dumber having walked out of that theater, because this movie is it's so bad. I mean, it's a 2-hour movie, and I wanted to leave about 20 minutes in. It starts out with a mashup of exposition where you're supposed to kind of start to feel for these characters, I guess, but you don't. I think very much so. You can compare this movie to probably Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. It's throwing together, you know, these so-so characters, not necessarily the good guys, and putting them in a team that has to work together to overcome some sort of obstacle. This is the same thing, except it's on Earth rather than in the galaxy or something like that. But the problem is that where Guardians of the Galaxy actually blended all of the introductions and all that, this movie just jumps right in and assumes that you need to know who all these characters are. Some of it makes sense. I mean, I'm not a huge comic book guy, and I don't know most of the characters here ahead of time, but I know who the Joker is, I know who Harley Quinn is, I'm familiar with those characters. Everybody else, I don't know who the hell they are. And this movie expects the audience to know these characters already, so that when we get these really rapid fire introductions, we should already care, but we don't. And in a movie where the characters are supposed to be coming together themselves, if you can't care about them individually, you're not going to care about them coming together as a team, and that is where the start of this really doesn't work. And I say that the characters, you know, the actors do a decent job trying to just scramble around and put something together for a performance on the screen, but even then, I don't know what exactly they're doing, but it just doesn't work, and it has to come back to the writing. And I mean, Will Smith tries his best. He tries to do a little bit of the dramatic thing and have a kind of a backstory that brings emotion. Harley Quinn, played by Margot Robbie, her accent bounces around all the way through the movie, so that kind of pulled me away. And it just, I don't know, Jared Leto was a terrible Joker. I didn't like him at all, and every single character in this movie is terrible. There's no point where you really start to like any of them, and the movie expects you to rally around them as they're trying to come together, and it doesn't make sense. The story bounces around so much that you really don't know what the hell is going on most of the time. I want to say that this movie doesn't work on a number of levels, and it really doesn't, but it all has to come down to the writing, and the story, the screenplay is not there. You don't have a decent story, you don't have a decent characterization of any of these people on screen, and it just doesn't do anything to really make you care. And I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who maybe are comic book fans and are maybe hoping that this movie is going to do well. I know that there's petitions right now to have Rotten Tomatoes disbanded because of how poorly received this movie has been from the critical community. I get it. People out there love these characters. They love these stories. That's perfectly fine. I didn't grow up with it. I don't have that same connection to them. But this is a movie. This is a bad movie. Don't see it. All right? The DC Extended Universe has continued to show that it is 100% dead on arrival, and they tried something different with Suicide Squad, and it is not there. There is nothing redeemable about this movie. They throw all these songs into the soundtrack. They're like, oh, these are good songs. Now I feel sullied by them. If I hear them again anytime soon, I'm going to think that is just reminding me of this terrible movie that I saw. I know there's people out there who are saying, you know what, maybe, Sean, you're not a comic book fan, this isn't for you. I get that. Hey, Sean, you're not in the demographic for this particular movie. I totally get that. Who is the demographic for this movie? Let's talk about it. Who was this movie made for? Like most of these superhero movies out right now, it was made for people who are probably 12 to 15-year-old boys. I mean, I get that there's a nostalgia thing for a lot of people out there, and that's fine. You know, you grew up with these comics, and at that time, when you were a 12 to 15-year-old person, you maybe loved them, and now seeing them on screen, that's great, that's fine. Good for you. These movies are made for 12 to 15-year-old boys in 2016. There is humor in there that is specifically for them, and I get it. If I don't like the movie, that's one thing. I completely understand. However, when there is a 12 or 13-year-old boy sitting 2 seats away from me who is groaning at how bad this movie is and then falls asleep halfway through, clearly, if you're not hitting your demographic, you are doing something wrong. Suicide Squad is abysmal. It is a bad movie. Do not see it. I was kind of excited about the idea that DC was going to go with something a little more lighthearted with their Justice League movies, but if this is their idea of lighthearted, they're done. There is nothing that the DC Universe can do to make a decent movie at this point, and they are so far behind the curve that nothing they can do from this point forward, aside from like a massive change, is going to fix what they have done wrong. Suicide Squad is just the latest installment to really prove that point, and it really hammers it home. They can't do anything. If it's lighthearted, if it's dark, they haven't been able to figure it out. It's not there. They don't have the creative vision that maybe the Marvel Studios have, and I hate this because I don't want to 100% praise the Marvel Studios. You guys know I'm very much not against the superhero thing right now, but I think that it's being overdone, and that's all we're seeing in theaters. But DC is making Marvel look so damn good because they are so damn bad. And Suicide Squad is just the latest example of that. Don't see it. Save the money. Save the 2 hours. It was so bad that I would much rather go rewatch Batman v Superman. And if you guys know how I felt about that, that's saying quite a bit. Now, for all of you DC fans who I have not already left out hung to dry and are still okay with listening to me spout about movies and spout vitriol against the things that you love, go ahead. Please follow me on the social media stuff, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. There's links in the description below. Also, be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel for more instant reaction videos, hopefully better ones in the future. Also, make sure you're following and subscribing and rating the podcast over on iTunes and on Podcast Addict for all of you Android users. Be expecting a full review for Suicide Squad in the next couple days because I am going to have to flesh out my feelings a little bit more on this one. Although I think I've put up quite a few here. I definitely have feelings. And I just, follow the Sean Talks Movies brand, and I hope I'm not angering too many of you, but realistically, you should be mad at DC for putting out shit movies. That's how it goes. Don't be mad at me. I'm the messenger here, and I'm telling you, save your money. Don't waste your time. Maybe come back when they do Justice League, but really, you gotta. If you love DC, you should be very, very angry with the direction that studio is taking things right now. And I'm just here to be the mouthpiece for that and let you guys know that you deserve better. You deserve so much better than what Suicide Squad can bring. So, with that, have a great day, everybody, and maybe go watch something else. Literally anything else.